Hello builders, I got another one for you today. In this one we're building the center structure for our Backyard Bayou, which houses our snakes, and then behind that will be a big old cave housing all of the amphibians in the game. This one will be a little bit different than my normal videos, as I started this area off building this structure, but I didn't quite know where I wanted to place it or what I was going to do with it, so I ended up leaving the skeleton of the structure around for a little while I built the rest of the area, and I came back after I did a couple exhibits and finished it off. So now we're doing the usual, where I build one wall, we're just playing around with different pieces, seeing what works, and this will set the basis for constructing the rest of the building. Primarily we used driftwood in many of the other buildings as a roof structure, but being that this was going to house the snakes, I wanted something looking a little more scaly for the roof. So we went with the twilight pieces and colored them green, a little bit of trim of yellow. And here's a good building tip for you. If you're ever doing this little rotate trick and you try and make a round structure, don't be worried about getting it right the first time. Just keep doing it over and over again, experiment, adjust things, and just keep going until you're happy with it. And that's how you make a building worthy of your zoo, because in the end, it's really up to you what looks good and what doesn't. If you're happy with it, then you know what? It's going to be great. Look at this building. You can tell I did a lot of different iterations with it, and you don't even see the ones I cut out. I did a lot of work for this one. But patience is a builder's friend in this game. And once you have the patience, anything can work out with enough time. And right here I realized that this building is becoming quite large, so we need to add some structural supports underneath it, just to make it look like it can stand. And you can tell there's a lot of little micro adjustments that go in this, which is why I'm continuously copy and pasting it. I wanted to get these little logs on top perfectly lined up, so every time we copy paste, they all just come together. And you might just notice these little gaps here. I put those gaps in because I don't want to have multiple pillars inside. So I create a second set that's going to be copy pasted without the pillar, and with a few adjustments, just to make things look a little different. And bam, boom, just like that, we have a big old time skip, several days in the future. Or probably more like 2 weeks in the future. I can't remember how long I actually spent building the Backyard Bayou, but now I've built most of the exhibits. So we come in here and we start building the little amphibian cave. We start by just destroying a big chunk of the wall for the snake area, and start laying out where we're going to put all the amphibians, and afterwards we'll cover it up with rocks and make it look like a proper little cave. The three closest to the snake area are the newts and the axolotls. The next two are the toads, and the three furthest away are the tree frogs. Now get ready for that Planet Zoo path frustration, because this took me a long time to get all the paths connected and working out here. But luckily there's a lot of weird gaps, and I just end up filling it with rocks, because it all made sense, because we're in a cave. You'll notice that there'll be a big old hole in the back of the cave during the video. This is going to be where the future Australian section of the zoo will go. But for now it is just a big old open hole, but eventually there will be something there, I promise. Normally I do cut out a lot of the path work, but you know this one, I decided I'm just going to leave it in. You guys can suffer along with me, or feel free to skip ahead if you want. But you know what, just suffer with me. Just enjoy the pain of pathing in this game. And now we come to that best part of any stone build. It's the rock work. Love me some rock work. Let's get on with it now, shall we? I mean, what else do you expect in a cave build? There's going to be some rocks. In fact, it's almost entirely all rocks, isn't it? Caves, that is. Weird when you think about it. Okay, maybe not that weird. It's like the exact opposite of weird. It's like the most common thing you can expect to find in a cave. And now I'm rambling again. Okay, you know what? I'm just gonna be quiet. Let's just sit back and enjoy the rock work. And with most of the walls complete, we come in and start working on the roof. The roof was rather easy. I just take rock number 5, make a little selection of it a couple times, and then we just slowly copy paste it and cover the whole space. And we come in later and to add in all the fine little details. If you've seen my insect cave build, you'll know that was a really tight space, and I wanted it to be like that for the insects. But here I wanted this cave to be a little bit more airy, so you'll notice there's a bunch of big gaps right here in the side of the walls. I wanted that to allow some more natural light and just let air circulate a little bit. Because you know, we gotta get that nice, fresh, swampy air in that cave for people to breathe in. And to help add in a few more structural supports for the ceiling, I disguise the exhibits as little pillars, and just have a few rocks going up to the roof to make it look like they're supporting the whole structure. Once the roof is complete, we come in and add a bunch of trees and foliage to the top of it to make it look like a proper little mountain. Although you have to be a little careful when doing stuff like that, because if you take the trees and you sink them down to the ground a little bit, the roots can pop through the ceiling, and you may or may not want that. In this case, I didn't really want that. And now we're coming back over to the snake dome. When I first built the snake dome, I know I always wanted the amphibian cave to blend into the side of it. I just wasn't sure how it was going to work until we got around to actually building the cave. But now that was done, I had a better idea of what I wanted it to look like, so I could finally come in and complete the whole build. And of course, I had to put in a waterfall, because there's not a lot of waterfalls in the swamp, and I just needed to get something in. I had to get my waterfall fix in. And hopefully you'll agree that the waterfall brings the whole thing together. Now you might be seeing these long stretches of green walls. You might think that's a little boring, but you know what? I got plans for that in the future. All throughout my park, whenever we get new followers, I put them up on little boards all over the park just to forever memorialize them. So this wall here is going to be one big follower wall eventually. So do you want your name up on there? Come join me on Twitch and give me a little follow. I'll make sure to get you it put up in the park. And on that note, anyone who also subscribes to me on Twitch will get their name somewhere in the park on a particular statue or key point of your choosing, and with a quote of your choosing as well. And like with any of the bigger habitat builds, once the rock board is done, it's time to come greenify it with some vegetation. Feeling like this whole center waterfall wasn't quite enough, I wanted to add a little bit more to it. So we added a few trees and also a big old snake statue. I mean, where else am I going to use this big old snake statue than with all of the snakes in the game? It just makes sense when you think about it. It just makes sense. With most of the interiors done, it's time to come in and just do a little bit of cleanup around the outside, adding more foliage and just going through and adjusting a few rocks here and there. Of course, all the great buildings in my zoo need a name, so I challenged chat to come up with something, and we came up with the name Serpent Sanctuary, just for that nice double S sound. Here's a fun little idea to help your letters pop a little bit by adding in a little bit of a drop shadow. What you do is you lay out the letters, you make a whole copy of the selection, and you make them black and you put them right behind your brighter letters, and the whole thing is nice and subtle and should just add that little bit of pop to your letters. And now that I went and made that sign, we ended up copying and pasting it to a few other entrances to the Serpent Sanctuary. But hey, we're not going to end the video there. We got a few more signs to do. And by that, well, okay, we got one more sign. And it's a sign for the Amphibian Cave. Chat and I discussed it, and we ended up with the name Toad Tunnel for that double T sound. Now that we're nearing the end of the video, I want to thank you all for watching this far. Hopefully you enjoyed another little build. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment and do all those YouTuber things. I'm sure it helps with analytics and it helps get these videos out to more people. Feel free to come join me over on Twitch if you want to see the progress or watch me play some other games. We have a nice chill group of people and we're always willing to chat up and offer advice on building or just talk about any old random stuff. Link down below for your convenience. And with that, I'm going to say goodbye, happy building everyone, and I'll leave you with one final flyby of these two areas.